to another Patty Stamps video. This is Patty Bennett. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I blog at pattystamps.com. Today I would love to share a couple of quick coloring tips with you for coloring in this card. You could use this as an Easter card or a get well, a birthday, a thank you. This could be anything, just depending on which greeting that you put on here. This stamp is from the Indescribable gift stamp set. This is available in the Occasions catalog, and that is a Stampin' Up! Seasonal catalog available through June 2nd, 2015. So I just stamped the image in black, and then let me give you a couple of coloring tips for coloring in the flowers. The colors that I'm using are Calypso Coral, Soft Suede, and Pear Pizzazz. And I'm using a couple of different coloring tools, a sponge dauber, a Stampin' Up! Marker, and a blender pen. So for the flowers, I started by opening up my Calypso Coral ink pad, and with my sponge dauber, I'm just getting some ink on there, and then what I'm going to do is just sort of pounce around in a circle on the flowers, and I'm pouncing a little bit more in the center of the flower because I just kind of felt like that's where the darker color would have been. So that's just a super fast way to color in those flowers. Really easy. And then for the smaller flowers, I sort of turned this on its side, and I just sort of kind of like nicked it, you know, just like popped it down there, just a little bit of, just adding a little bit of color to some of them. Okay, so just simple, little bit of coloring, little bit of shading. Very pretty, very soft. I'm going to leave that open because I'm going to use it again. For the stem, I opened my soft suede pad and a blender pen. Now this has two tips. In the package you get 3 markers, so you're going to get a total of 6 tips. And what I usually do with my blender pens is I will keep one tip for like browns or dark reds, one tip for greens, one tip for yellows, one tip for purples, one for pinks. You get the idea. And that way I'm not constantly scribbling off the extra color. So I'm just kind of dabbing my blender pen in the lid here. What I had done before was just to squeeze it like this, and that puts some of the ink into the lid. So I'm just swishing my blender pen around into that ink, and then I'm going to color down at the bottom of that branch first because that's where it's going to be darker, and then just give a little bit of color up at the top, and that gave a little bit of two-tone shading there. So there's not very much brown. I'm going to do the rest of the leaves and stems in green. So for the green, I started with my Pear Pizzazz Stampin' Up! Marker, and I did parts of the leaves with the marker. Then I took the other side of my Stampin' Up! Marker and I squeezed the lid of the Pear Pizzazz pad, and then I'm just going to swish some ink with that and then just sort of fill in the areas that I didn't color with the marker, and this way I just have some shading, some dark to light. Just a bit there. And then you can color in all these little pieces that are at the base of each of those. You could either just do that with the marker or with the blender pen. It just sort of depends if you want them to be lighter or darker. Okay, so that's the green and the stem. And then the last step, I decided that I wanted some of those little flowers to be a little darker. So I used my blender pen, and I'm going to go back to the side that had some brown on it because that's fine. It just, it can be used with the other colors. I'm just going to scribble off on a scratch piece just a little bit. And I picked up some of the Cameo Coral, and then I just wanted to put in just a few little extra shadows, a little bit of contrast. It doesn't need a lot, but it's really nice how just a little bit of the darker color goes a long way to give that a nice look. So how quick and easy was that? And it's even quicker when you're not explaining it to somebody. Super fast, right? So pretty. This would make a great Easter card or spring birthday cards. Okay, so then the last two steps is I wanted to bring in one more color, the Daffodil Delight. Do you see what I stamped on there? I stamped this stamp from Kinda Eclectic, and I stamped it right on top. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. I was a little bit nervous, and I thought, well, if I don't like it, I just won't give that card to somebody. But I went ahead and inked it, and then I stamped it off. Let me just grab a scratch piece and stamp it off. And then I just stamped right on top of those flowers, and it worked, and I was really pleased with it, and I just thought it was so beautiful, and it just gave a really pretty yellow tone to some of those flowers, as well as just giving that highlight, kind of a little more of an Easter card. Last step was to stamp the butterfly punch and punch it out with the butterfly punch. And remember, it's easiest to stamp first, turn your punch upside down, and punch out when you're working with a punched image. And I like to use glue dots when I'm adhering them, and I like to press it onto the roll like that and pick it up. Then your glue dot is there. And then you can just set it down. And that would be pretty too if you wanted to add some pearls or rhinestones onto the butterfly or around the card. It would work, and it would be really lovely. Hope you enjoyed those quick tips.